People always talk about becoming successful, becoming disciplined, becoming great. But nobody talks about the rule. The one rule that separates people who transform from people who stay the same for life. This is the story of a young man who discovered that rule in the most unexpected, confusing, and unbelievable way. Eli was 22. Average student, average life, average confidence. But he had an unusual belief, a strange conviction that didn't make sense to anyone around him. He believed with no proof that he was meant for something great, not normal great, unexplainable great. His neighbors laughed at him. His friends mocked him. His lecturer said he was delusional, but Eli didn't care. He kept a small notebook where he wrote one sentence every night. I am becoming the man I was born to be. It sounded powerful, but his life didn't match that sentence at all. Not even close. He believed he was destined for greatness, but he woke up at 11 a.m. He believed he would change the world, but he spent hours scrolling. He believed he would lead millions someday, but he couldn't lead himself to clean his room. The contradictions were embarrassing, painful, almost hypocritical. One night, he stared at his messy room, the plates on the table, the undone assignments, and whispered, "Why do I feel something great, but live like someone ordinary?" No answer came, just silence, until something strange happened. At 1 a.m., hungry and restless, Eli walked to the small shop near his street, and there, sitting alone under the flickering streetlight, was a man he had never seen before. Dark coat, calm eyes, hands folded. The man looked up and said, "You're becoming someone, but you don't understand the rule." Eli froze. "How do you know me?" The man didn't answer. He simply pointed to the notebook, sticking out of Eli's pocket. "The sentence you write every night, it's true. But truth without action is torture." Eli's heart raced. "Who are you?" Again, no answer. The man stood and walked toward him, slow and steady. "You want to become great," he said. "But becoming is not magic. Becoming is not luck. Becoming requires the one rule most people never learn." Eli swallowed hard. "What rule?" The man took a step closer. "It's not discipline, not consistency, not motivation, though those matter." He leaned in and whispered, "You must become the person before the life arrives." Eli blinked. "What does that mean?" The man continued. "Everyone waits for opportunities before they change, but the rules of becoming are different. You must change first. Then the opportunities will find you." Eli felt something shift internally, but he was confused. "So I should fake it?" The man shook his head. "No, you should become it before you see evidence." The man pointed toward Eli's apartment building. "Right now, your environment reflects your mind. Cluttered, confused, unsteady." Eli felt ashamed. "But your conviction," the man smiled. "Your conviction is unusual. They are dangerous if not handled correctly." Eli frowned. Dangerous. Dangerous. Yes. Because conviction without becoming leads to disappointment. The man stretched out his hand. "Tonight, you choose. You either continue dreaming without becoming, or you follow the rule." Eli looked at the hand. His heart pounded. His mind raced. "What happens if I choose the rule?" The man's eyes darkened, not with evil, but with intensity. "Then your life will shift, painfully at first, powerfully later. But once you start becoming, there is no turning back." And just like that, the stranger disappeared, not walked away, not slowly faded. He disappeared instantly, as if he was never there. Eli stumbled back, shocked. What was that? He ran home, locked his door, sat on his bed with his heart pounding. But when he opened his notebook to write the usual sentence, something new appeared beneath his handwriting, glowing faintly. "Becoming begins at dawn." Eli froze. He didn't write that. No one had access to his room. His door was locked. That night, he barely slept. And when his phone hit 5 a.m., something unexpected something terrifying happened. When the clock hit 5 a.m., Eli expected a simple alarm, a vibration, a ring, something normal. But instead,
his entire room shook. The light bulb flickered violently. His notebook slid off the table. The mirror on the wall rattled as if something inside it wanted to break out. Then, boom, his phone screen flashed white. A loud, sharp tone filled the room, a sound he had never heard from any device. Eli sat up, terrified. This wasn't an alarm. This was a warning. And just like the stranger said, the test had begun. As Eli tried to stand, the phone screen turned black again. Then a voice, calm, deep, and unfamiliar, echoed from the speaker. Eli, you asked to become the man you were born to be. Becoming begins now. Eli's blood ran cold. He grabbed the phone with shaking hands. Who are you? How do you know my name? What do you want? Silence. And then the voice replied, choose who you will feed today. Eli stepped out of bed, heart pounding. I want to be the better version, he whispered. But the weaker reflection smirked, mocking him, as if saying, you've said that before. And suddenly Eli felt it. The weight of every broken promise, every failed attempt, every excuse. But then something else happened. A text popped onto his phone screen. Not from a contact, not from a number, from unknown, which displayed, go back to sleep. You don't have the capacity today. Eli froze. The words felt familiar. Too familiar. They were the exact words he told himself every morning he gave up. The voice in the phone whispered, your old self will fight you. If you lose this first test, you go back to the life you hate. Eli clenched his fists. No, he said. I'm staying up. I'm starting today. He walked to the bathroom, splashed water on his face, took a deep breath. And the moment he raised his head, he saw something in the mirror that made his stomach drop. There was handwriting on the bathroom mirror, not with a marker, not with steam, but engraved as if something sharp scratched into the glass. It read, becoming will cost you everything. You're not ready to lose. Eli stepped back. What does that mean? Before he could think, his phone buzzed again. A second message from unknown. Are you willing to continue? He typed back, yes. The screen glitched, flickered, and turned into a countdown. 59, 58, 57. The voice spoke again. You have 60 minutes to complete 3 tasks. If you fail, everything resets. Eli panicked. Reset? What resets? But the voice didn't answer. Instead, a third message slid onto the screen. Task 1. Clean the room you scattered. Eli sprinted to his room. His bed was messy, desk cluttered, clothes everywhere. He didn't realize how much chaos he lived in until that moment. As he cleaned, he noticed something on the floor, a small envelope he had never seen before. His name was written on it. He opened it cautiously. Inside, one sentence. Your environment reveals your commitment. He felt a sting in his chest. The stranger had said the same thing, just hours earlier. He shoved the note into his pocket and kept cleaning. By the time the countdown hit 38 minutes, the room was spotless. Then his phone buzzed. Task 1 complete. Task 2 unlocking. The screen changed again. Task 2. Make the call you've been avoiding. Eli's throat closed. He knew exactly what that meant. His father. They hadn't spoken in nearly 2 years after a fight that neither of them apologized for. Eli swallowed hard. His hand trembled as he dialed his father's number. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then, Eli? His father's voice, soft, surprised, almost shaky. Eli felt something break inside him. Dad, I'm sorry. Silence, then a breath. His father whispered, I've been waiting for you to call. A tear slipped down Eli's face. I'm trying to become better, he said quietly. His father replied, I know, and I'm proud of you, son. Before Eli could respond, the phone cut off, ending the call automatically. The voice came again. Task 2 complete. Eli exhaled deeply, but the countdown continued. He didn't have time to process his emotions. The screen changed. Task 3, face what you fear the most. The lights in his room flickered, then cut off completely. Darkness swallowed everything. Eli heard something move behind him, something slow, heavy, breathing. He turned on his phone flashlight. A dark figure stood in the corner of the room, tall, still, shapeless. Eli stumbled backward. What are you? The figure didn't move, didn't speak. Then a distorted whisper came. I am everything you fear becoming. Eli shook violently. The voice from the phone said, "This is your final test. Walk toward it." Eli's heart hammered. No, I can't walk." Eli's legs trembled as he stepped forward. One step, then another. The shadow grew sharper, clearer, until finally, Eli stood face to face with it. His breath caught. The shadow wasn't a monster. It wasn't a demon. It was him, a darker version of himself. The version he would become if he stayed undisciplined. If he avoided growth, if he quit. The shadow whispered, "Choose." Eli reached out and touched the shadow, and instantly, his entire room burst with blinding white light. When the light faded, the shadow was gone. In its place was a small folded paper. On the floor, he picked it up with shaking hands. It read, "You passed the test. Now the real becoming begins." At the bottom in small letters, "The door will open tomorrow at 5 a.m. And below that, a final chilling line. "Do not ignore the knock." By 5 a.m. the knock came. Eli opened the door and found himself standing in a white, empty room. No darkness, no shadows, no versions of himself, just silence. And then he heard footsteps. The stranger, the same man from the beginning, stepped forward from the light. Calm, still, watching him, Eli stepped forward. "Why did you show me all of this?" The man smiled faintly. "Because this is the rule you've been breaking your whole life." Eli swallowed. "What rule?" The man raised his hand and the entire room shifted. Suddenly, Eli saw scenes of his own life floating around him. Times he waited for motivation before starting. Times he prayed for a new life while living like his old self. Times he begged God for a breakthrough but never prepared for it. Times he said tomorrow to things that required today. The scenes wrapped around him like mirrors. The man spoke. "The rule of becoming. Nothing in your life will change. Until you change, you do not receive the life you want. You become the person who can carry it." Eli felt the words burn through him. The man continued. "You wanted greatness, but lived small. You wanted discipline, but protected laziness. You wanted a new identity, but fed your old habits. This is why your life stays the same." The scenes vanished. The man walked closer until he stood directly in front of Eli. "The future you saw is possible. The broken one and the blessed one. You choose which one becomes real. By who you decide to become today." Eli felt the world begin to fade. The room dissolved. The man's voice echoed. "Become first, then the life will follow." Eli felt himself falling fast as if someone had pulled the floor out from under him. Then, silence. A silence so deep it felt endless. And then, Eli's eyes snapped open. He gasped for air, clutching his chest. He wasn't standing. He wasn't facing a shadow. He wasn't in a blinding light. He was on his bed. His messy bed. In his messy room, with clothes everywhere. Plates on the table. Books on the floor. He looked around rapidly. No cracks on the mirror. No countdown on his phone. No notes. No messages. No voice. His phone lay beside him on the pillow. The screen lit up. 4:59 a.m. The alarm he had set the night before buzzed 1 minute early. A normal buzz. A normal sound. A normal morning. Eli blinked. What was that? His hands were shaking. His heart pounding. His shirt damp with sweat. Was it a dream? A hallucination? A warning? A sign? He didn't know. But one thing was clear. He had never had a dream that felt so real. A dream where his reflection judged him. His weaknesses spoke to him. His fears stood in front of him. His father forgave him, and a mysterious stranger told him, "You must become the person before the life arrives." Eli sat up slowly. For the first time in his life, the sentence he wrote every night no longer felt like empty hope. "I am becoming the man I was born to be." He read it again, and this time, he believed it. He stood. He looked around his room. He didn't feel shame. He felt clarity. He whispered, "It was just a dream," but the message was real. He grabbed his phone. 5 a.m. The alarm rang. Eli took a deep breath, the kind of breath a person takes right before changing their life. He whispered, "No more dreaming. No more hoping. No more tomorrow. Today, I become." He made his bed, cleaned his room, drank water, read a page, did 5 push-ups, and sat at his desk as the sun began to rise. For the first time ever, he felt like the future wasn't something distant. It was something he was stepping into right now. He looked at himself in the mirror. No cracks, no shadow versions, just him. But this time, He didn't see the confused, inconsistent version. He saw a beginning, a real beginning. The dream wasn't real, but the conviction it awakened was. Eli straightened his back, smiled faintly, and whispered to himself, "The rule of becoming starts today." If this story inspired you, do not forget to subscribe, share, hit the bell, and like to get more motivational stories about life, growth, and breakthroughs.